Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kundavihari Gopi Jana Vandana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Hare Devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuvunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padhan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Shri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Yate. Those words describing the glories of the all-famous personality of Godhead are attractive, relishable, and ever fresh. Indeed, such words are a perpetual festival for the mind, and they dry up the ocean of mercy, ocean of misery. So I will tell you what are the 5 qualities. First he says, those words describing the glories of the all-famous means Srimad Bhagavatam. What are the characteristics? All attractive, relishable, ever fresh, perpetual festival for the mind, and dry up the ocean of misery. 5 things. About Srimad Bhagavatam. Why I quoted this, you will see when I go to the PowerPoint now. This is what we did last time. What I have to do? So I will show what we did last time and then we proceed further. Preaching means to inject faith. 2 types of faithless people: those who know nothing about Krishna and those who know relatively little. Then what is success in preaching? Success in preaching means to give faith to the faithless. How effectively the faithless people can be given faith. Bhagavad Gita is a basic textbook. And the confidential portions, Krishna says, are not to be spoken to non-devotees. That doesn't mean we don't preach at all to non-devotees. We have to preach to them in such a way that they will develop faith. So the first step in preaching is to establish openness to an appreciation of Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada could live even amongst the hippies and give them faith. And therefore, for the common people, to prepare the faithless people to come to receive the knowledge about Krishna, we should do Harinam Sankirtan. So if people receive Harinam Sankirtan and accept some prasadam and appreciate the Sankirtan of the devotees, then they become blessed with some Sukriti. Then they may want to come and sit down and hear. When Prabhupada went to Nairobi, he saw Brahmananda Prabhu was in charge there. So he saw many Indians were there. Prabhupada was shocked. She told Brahmananda Prabhu, I told you to preach to the Africans. Why the temple is filled with so many Indians? He said, Prabhupada, we have to run the temple. We need donations to run the temple. Indians are the ones who feel sympathetic to us. Prabhupada said, oh, this is not what we wanted. And Prabhupada said, next week, 1 full week I'm here. He said that now you get the Africans to come. Indians should donate and the Africans should become devotees. That should be your program. You should preach to Africans and Indians, without even preaching, they will give you donation. Don't waste your time. The Prabhupada was very strong. You will see in Prabhupada Lilamrita. But he said, Prabhupada, they speak a different language there, on Swahili language and people, and they can't understand our philosophy very easily. They're all simple people. Prabhupada said, no, you keep the temple doors wide open, Prabhupada said, and do loud Sankirtan. You just wait and watch whether they come or not. And they kept the door open and did loud Sankirtan, and all the Africans started coming in. Many youngsters started coming in and they started making, all of them started joining, dancing. Such dancing, vigorous. Prabhupada said, vigorous Sankirtan should be done. So for 1 week, the temple started flooding with so many Africans. Prabhupada said, just see they are coming or not. Prabhupada said, the Sankirtan will increase their Sukriti. Even if they don't participate in it, if they just watch it. If they watch the Sankirtan, even the trees are watching, insects are watching, birds are watching, dogs are watching. Who is that? As soon as the dog hears the sound, immediately lifts up the head and sees, where is the sound coming from? That means his Sukriti has increased immediately. So he's going to get a human body. So, in this way, increases the Sukriti of the people by doing the Sankirtan. Then they'll be willing to extend their hands and accept prasadam. Then when the prasadam goes, even more Sukriti is added. Then they may purchase a book or they may come to temple. And they will... So, and then Prabhupada saw that many Africans started becoming devotees after that. So, therefore, we heard about that beauty of Harinam Sankirtan and the accidental offenseless chanting of non-devotees. Even the non-devotees innocently take part in the Sankirtan and they become purified very fast. Accidental, I think this was the last one I did, last time. We will do from here. Accidental, offenseless chanting of non-devotees. Please read it.
One who chants the holy name of the Lord is immediately freed from the reactions of unlimited sins, even if he chants indirectly, to indicate something else, jokingly, for musical entertainment, or even neglectfully. This is accepted by all the learned scholars of the scriptures.
Like you see this big officers, they're seeing a small kid coming and showing them a book or something, or giving a prasad packet. So they may jokingly say, hey, look at this Hare Krishna, look at this tiny tot Hare Krishna. And they may accept. But once a word comes out of their mouth, Krishna, their Sukriti has increased immediately. Yeah.
Even though done without faith in the name or the owner of the name, the four types of chanting mentioned in this verse are considered offenseless. Still, such accidental chanting is not a form of sadhana because it is neither systematic nor faithful. Yet, it is a foundation from which devotional practice may grow.
Niyamana Harer Nama Grinan Putro Pacharitam Hajamilopyagadhama Kim Uta Shraddaya Grinan. In this verse, Yamaraj distinguishes between Shraddaya Grinan, the holy name taken with faith, transcendental faith, and Mriyamana Harer Nama, which means at the time of death, out of fear, somebody chants a holy name, not systematically or out of faith, but out of fear one chants. So these two are two different type of names. One is chanted accidentally, one is chanted daily, like all of us try to chant daily, systematically. And the accidentally chanted name is cried out of fear for life safety or something like that. Whereas systematically chanted name is done out of longing to attain Krishna Prema. So there's a big difference between the two. He says, Jamaraj says, what to speak of those who daily chant the holy name with Shraddha? Why will Krishna neglect them? Why will Krishna not accept them in his abode? Even those who accidentally chant the holy name offenselessly, like Ajamila, eventually Ajamilopi Agad Dhamma, within the next 10-12 years, he practiced and then he could go back to Godhead. So like that, he's glorifying the holy name. It's not a form of sadhana, accidental chanting, but still it has benefit. Yeah, because when he chanted that Narayana, from that he got association of devotees. Then he was inclined to devotional service. Everything came. Yeah.
Innovation must be stemmed in devotion. In addition to chanting, further means to introduce people to Krishna consciousness and to the Lord's names include devotional festivals, prasada distribution, book distribution, and dramatic performances. Preaching ultimately guides people to the topmost theistic realizations. Yet, the journey often begins when they contact the Krishna conscious culture through vegetarian cuisine, exotic music, and colorful festivals.
His Grace Harivilas Prabhu in Seattle, he talks about, he says instead of giving Krishna consciousness as a religious presentation, it should be presented as a cultural presentation. That's one of his many main highlight things. He says that people are open for culture. When you say culture means food, dress, art, crafts, drama, dance, painting, all these things come in culture. So people consider the culture more lighter and more wanted, and they have more inclination for that. Like for example, if you have a food court, you just invite students to come to a food court and taste different type of foods and write their appreciation and comments. So anybody will happily come. That crowd will be 10 times more than the crowd you get for sitting in a class and hearing Bhagavad Gita. Generally, you see that, isn't it? So some temples do that abroad. So one is like prasadam and festivals and drama. When we do drama, the children are in the first row, you might have seen. Big crowd. When the lecture starts, they are not found anywhere. Correct, no? So you can see that how much these cultural performances attract even the heart of children. That means everybody, the temple hall is packed when there is a drama performed by a very good team of devotees. Correct, no? Yeah. In the same manner, some people like to read books rather than sit and hear the lecture. They may read the book at their own leisure. When they're going by flight, they want to pick up a book, paperback book, some book, and then on the way they want to read for a couple of hours. So in the train also, my observation was when you go for distributing Prabhupada books, like somebody was reading a novel, When I gave him Prabhupada's book, I gave this Teachings of Queen Kunti. He kept the novel aside and picked up this book now. He started reading Teachings of Queen Kunti. So by the time I went to the other end of the train and I came back, and I saw him reading Prabhupada's book, he said, "Oh, it's very good, very nice." That means we can help people to replace their prajalpa by Krishna consciousness, by supplying books. And if you don't give them, Prabhupada says, if you don't supply them spiritual literature, they are going to choose mundane literature. So that will be a great violence to their consciousness. Correct, no? So therefore, he is saying all these different things, exotic music. Yeah.
Preachers must be careful, though, that the means they employ to introduce pure devotion, namely cultural practices and events, do not replace the goal, Krishna Prema.
So these cultural activities are tool, not the goal. The goal is to bring them closer to Krishna. Sometimes in such festivals, like you see in the picture, they do many, many tamasha things and different things and all they do. So if they do those things, people should not get distracted from the goal for which Rath Yatra is performed. Like sometimes you find devotees, they dance in a very gymnastic way. Keeping a hand or rotating the body this way, that way, so many things they do. And then they become center of attraction for everybody. You observed that sometimes? And you've seen, they do tossing and all they do. What do you call it? Sasara? Summer sasara, yeah. Summer sasara. So they do so they go this way, that way. So actually then they become center of attraction and the people stop uttering the holy name. So the purpose is defeated. Because the holy name should never be stopped. And so therefore I have seen His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj, when he came to Chowpatty for 10 days, he had come once. He went to Car Road and every day he was giving program in Car Road also and Chowpatty also. Morning in Chowpatty, evening in Car Road he was giving. So very fortunate to attend his programs, morning, evening, 10 days. So the kirtan when he would be doing, he would be playing this, what do you call that? Gong. Dong, dong, dong. He would be playing that. And he would be running from the temple front to back and back to front. He would be doing kirtan and the other fellows would be playing jambe also. So he saw that at one point of time, devotees were dancing but not singing. So he told everybody to stop the instruments. And then he told all the devotees, chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, making them chant. Until it became very loud. When it became very loud, then he told them to start the instruments. Because out of the two, which is more important? Instruments making noise is important or chanting is important? Chanting, yeah. So therefore, in the same manner, cultural festivals have a risk of diverting the people from the actual goal. People may come to eat, people may come to see drama, people may see dance. And sometimes in such kinds of events, people do more sense gratification than Krishna consciousness. Sometimes it is seen. Like for example, when a group of people who are doing drama, they may not sit in the lecture and attend lecture. But when it comes to drama performance, you get a chance to show yourself on the stage. So people come. But they have to be proper devotees also. It's very important. Prabhupada says, when he performed the role of Advaita Acharya, audience were crying. There are tears in their eyes. And Prabhupada says his director was such a perfectionist that 1 year he trained them. Is there any of you ready for practicing rehearsals for 1 year? After that they put up that drama where Prabhupada played the role of Advaita Acharya Prabhu. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu put up one drama where he acted as Rukmini. So Sachimata was searching, where is my son? And everybody said, the Rukmini is your son. He was playing the role of Rukmini. And Sachimata was so delighted to see Lord Nimai Pandit, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Rukmini. So, in this way, even our great personalities have performed drama, dance, art, music and everything. At the same time, they should not replace the goal. When Nartamadas Thakur in Keturigram, he had put up a very, very special type of Sankirtan, which was adored by all the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Later on, it was faithfully followed in our line, even up to date today. So, that Kirtan was so ecstatic. Janavadevi was the Acharya at the time. Janavadevi, she actually noticed that this Sankirtan is like a cry of the call of the soul for Krishna, very powerfully. So, when one would hear that Sankirtan, it would really churn the heart and increase the longing to see Krishna, meet Krishna. The Sankirtan should be like that. Otherwise, if we change a tune every 2 minutes, every 3 minutes, just to have the fun of singing different tunes. It doesn't carry any weight. Take one tune and then keep on singing it, and churn it, and then call out the Lord. Eventually, the call should turn into feeling in the heart. So therefore, the goal shouldn't be forgotten. If eventually the feeling doesn't arise, then we get diverted by so many other things. Yeah.
To avoid this pitfall, devotees need to have a clear understanding of the various means by which people are systematically elevated through the stages of devotion. More importantly, devotees must teach people how to appropriately apply these means. This is the way to do justice to Srila Prabhupada's perfect legacy as the world teacher of pure devotion.
Yeah. So, actually, therefore, we need always guidance from devotees who are properly situated. They have to tell us, how to apply these tools and cultural items to, like for example, there are so many things now in ISKCON which are used as a means to bring new people to Krishna consciousness, like yoga, for example. Yes, you can teach yoga, and eventually you should bring people to Krishna consciousness through that. Similarly, somebody may be a dance teacher, they may dance beautifully, and then many girls may come and join. But eventually all the girls should come to 16 rounds and get initiated and become ISKCON devotees. Then there's a perfection of Bharatanatyam dancing. No problem in dancing. Similarly, there are expert congregation devotees who are good in teaching painting to children. So the painting, storytelling, dance, drama, art, and all these things are wonderful as long as they lead one to Krishna. Like on Rangoli, you have seen people you've seen that in front of the Rath Yatra cart. They put such a beautiful rangolis they put for Jagannath to be welcomed, which is very nice. But they also should be brought to the point of chanting 16 rounds, following the 4 regs, leading a pure lifestyle. And then they will draw the same rangoli with great devotion. Correct, no? Because what makes the offering great is the devotional element in it. Without that, there are even karmis who do better than anybody, isn't it? They do it very meticulously. So the ingredient of devotion, that can only be added when they are guided by a devotee. Like I remember in those days, Haridas Thakur Prabhu used to make pictures for Chowpatty temple on the walls, you must have seen. So His Holiness Ranath Maharaj told him to change some of those pictures, and he guided him how those pictures should be drawn. For example, Ramanand Rai, getting darshan of Radha Krishna. And Radha Krishna darshan was given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Ramanand Rai. For Kovalvecha Sridhar, Mahaprabhu gave darshan of Krishna Balram, he gave. And for Sarvam Bhattacharya, he gave Shadbhuja Gauranga darshan, like that. Different darshan he gave. So, Maharaja told that the Ramanand Rai picture should be modified. So then Maharaj gave guidance. Now you see how the picture is. If you see the picture, you don't want to close your eyes at all. The Lord Chaitanya's body is glowing like golden complexion. He looks so beautiful, he looks. And Radha and Krishna, Maharaj told how it should be drawn in a very tender manner. Their bodies are delicate bodies. Mega Shamala Komalanga. So Ramanandra is taking darshan. So these spiritual forms, how do we draw it? Ordinary artists cannot draw. But when you are guided by a great devotee, even Srila Prabhupada guided Jadurani Mataji. Which picture should be drawn how? Like you look at the ISKCON picture of Rasa dance. And you look at outside pictures. How many of you can confidently say there's a big difference? Correct now? Yeah, outside people, when they draw a Rasa dance, they draw it very sensuously. Looks, when you see the picture, you only get erotic feelings. Whereas when you see the Rasa dance drawn by devotees in ISKCON under the guidance of Prabhupada, you see that immediately devotion will awaken in the heart. Therefore, anything we do, we should do it under guidance of a pure devotee. And situated in such a devotional path that they can easily see through the externals and their essence collectors, Saragrahi Vaishnavas. Only then they only have to guide. So this is the topic for today. Book distribution is for everyone. Yeah, please read it.
Srila Prabhupada's favorite. Book distribution is worthy of special mention as Srila Prabhupada's favorite means to awaken people's interest in Krishna consciousness. He placed great emphasis on the distribution of his books, especially his commentaries on scriptures such as Srimad Bhagavatam. He wanted his books to be available to everyone.
See, here he says, more than anything, I want that my students should distribute literature profusely all over the world, and this should be our foremost concern, how to do it properly. See, which means there is no ambiguity in Prabhupada's instructions. It's very, very clear. Here, two things he is saying here. I want that my students should distribute literature profusely, he says, all over the world. And then he also says, this is a foremost concern, he says. So, one Maharaj in ISKCON was telling that many times we do many activities in ISKCON, and some of the activities we are little doubtful and afraid whether is it in line with Prabhupada or not. Can I bring people to Krishna consciousness through this bridge preaching? And such kinds of doubts come in the mind. He said there are some certain things in ISKCON, he said, even at the dead of the night somebody wakes you up, you can confidently say that this will please Prabhupada. And one of it is book distribution. Prabhupada just say, why are you distributing my books instead of preaching? You will never say that. If any of us tell Prabhupada that, Prabhupada, I am sorry, I am not a good preacher. All my life I only distributed your books, please forgive me. What will he say? Come back to Goloka. You don't have to preach. And even if you didn't make a single devotee, all your life you distributed book, you will go back to Godhead. There is one Devi Shakti Mataji, even today, in Vrindavan you will see, she has brought so many people to Krishna consciousness. I heard stories from one sannyasi, as well as Chandramali Swami Maharaj was telling, how Chandramali Maharaj was a student. So she came and gave the books. And she gave, see, this book is this book is, and she went on piling up in his hand. And the books became so much, almost like this up to this. So then she asked, now give me a donation. So he said, how can I give? My hands are full with books. So he said, here is my purse. So she took the purse. She got a solid donation and took. And then Maharaj says, and Maharaj went back, read, and then he joined full time. And Maharaj also said she was the one who brought Devamrit Swami also. And that is another big story, how she brought. So very vigorous distributor. You will see in America, our Jadrani Mataji, there is an article which says a frail-bodied Jadrani was always a topper in distributing Back to Godhead magazines. In fact, there were devotees who were tall and hefty, big devotees, senior devotees in the temple. So in the morning when they would announce about her scores, so they would always feel that their scores are falling short. And Prabhupada would say, just see, she is a little girl and she is going and distributing so many. So you will see that Prabhupada didn't distinguish between men and women when it came to reaching out Krishna consciousness through book distribution. Prabhupada heartily, openly appreciated. He sent 3 couples to London also. So there should be enthusiasm on the part of the devotees of ISKCON, because we have to reflect the mood of our Acharya. Sri Prabhupada is our founder Acharya for us. Surprisingly, some people treat Prabhupada as one of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas in the line, while considering their spiritual master to be very, very important. That is actually we are certainly falling short of something in that. For Gaudiya Math people, Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur is very important, because he is the founding Acharya, founder Acharya for Gaudiya Math. 64 matas he established. Although there is Bhaktivedanta Thakur and there are also previous Acharyas and all. Similarly, for those who are followers of Srila Prabhupada in ISKCON society, who is the founder Acharya of ISKCON? So his preeminent Shiksha Guru, that is the name, GBC has given him, which means his books carry a Shiksha which we all should carry and we should distribute to people. And his instruction should be taken to the heart very seriously if you really want to advance. So the worst thing is people even finding fault with Prabhupada's purports and saying that some modification has to be done and things like that. So therefore you will find that Prabhupada being founder Acharya, of course we respect Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur, we also respect Bhaktivedanta Thakur and all the previous Acharyas, but Prabhupada is special for us because he is the one who started this ISKCON society, and this ISKCON society is our shelter for us. And his books are our life and soul for us. And by studying which we are able to assimilate the spiritual subject matter and live the spiritual life and also lead the people who are put in our custody. And our gratitude is offered to Prabhupada in the form of fulfilling his instructions. Generally, if you are grateful to somebody, you will try to do something for them what pleases them the most. Is it not true? Like, if I meet Chaitanya Prabhu, I would give him a good book, but that's what he will like. Even if I give him Rasagula, he will say it's all right. Correct? But if you give him a book, new book which he is looking for, he'll be most happy. So you have to give a person what he likes. What is his inclination? So here you see what he says. More than anything, I want that my students should distribute literature profusely all over the world. And this should be our foremost concern, how to do it properly. So some people have captured this instruction very well. They are actually reaching out. Like I was in Bhopal, Rasananda Prabhu, Rasananda Prabhu invited. There is another temple in Bhopal. There are about 10-12 brahmacharis there. His Holiness Bhakti Swami's disciples are putting up another temple. So they saw that I am here. So they had come to take me. They said, at least come for one Bhagavatam class, they told me. So I went there. I saw a huge godown they have. So many books. Every day the devotees are going 4-5 hours out, distributing Prabhupada books. So when I went for the Bhagavatam class, after my class, the whole temple hall was 150-200 people in the morning time. Few people had a mask and all, but most people didn't have a mask. Attended the class. After the class, through my hands, probably they distributed more than 60 books, Bhagavad Gitas and many big books of Prabhupada, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam sets, more than 60 books. So they announced about my introduction and then told the people, Prabhuji is very rare and yearly once only he comes here. Then everybody picked up the book. So then they were telling me, wherever there's a program, we distribute books. And we don't do any program without distributing books. His Holiness Jayadutta Maharaj also, and also His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj, I've seen, Bhima Prabhu and all. Whenever we took them for any program, youth program, they will ask, after my class, is there a book table? They would ask like that. If book table is not there, they will say, make sure there's a book table. Prabhupada will be very happy. Prabhupada always said, what will your 2-3 minutes preaching do? Better people take my books. Because then the reasons will come now. Why we should distribute books, the reason is going to come now. But the point is, how conscious are we in giving Prabhupada books to people? Or are we more conscious of only giving our own lectures? Correct, no? That's the point. Therefore, he says, we should have foremost concern, he says. Yeah.
His mood in regards to book distribution.
What is the title?
Srila Prabhupada's favorite.
Yeah.
His mood in regards to book distribution was similar to that of the Panchatattva's mood toward the distribution of love of God.
Patra vichara nahi sthana sthana. Ye yaha payataha kare premadan.
In distributing love of Godhead, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates did not consider who was a fit candidate and who was not, nor where such distribution should or should not take place. They made no conditions. Wherever they got the opportunity, the members of the Panchatattva distributed love of Godhead.
Yeah. See, sometimes Indian devotees feel, if you give Chaitanya Charitamrita to a newcomer, what will he understand? He doesn't know who is Krishna, also he doesn't know. First let him understand Krishna and then come to Chaitanya. But most people in the West came to Chaitanya first and then Krishna. You know that? Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda are more known to the Western world than Krishna also. And there's no problem at all because they are the same person only. Krishna and Chaitanya are the same person. So, there are examples of Western devotees distributing whole sets of Chaitanya Charitamrita to a total newcomer. And the newcomers took the book because in Chaitanya Charitamrita also Prabhupada talks a lot from Bhagavatam also. In the purports you will find that. And from Bhagavad Gita also. That is the beauty of Prabhupada's purports. He keeps, any big book you take, ultimately there will be basic philosophy in that. He never keeps only for the senior devotees or only for the junior devotees. He keeps a very good blend of everything. So therefore, even from Chaitanya Charitamrita we can make devotees also. So therefore he says, Patra Nadeki, don't see whether a person is qualified or not. Anybody can take this knowledge and eventually they'll become devotees. See, Prabhupada saying, you're trying for the new temple, but our main business is Sankirtan and distribution of literature. If Krishna gives us a better place, that is all right. Otherwise, we can remain at any place, never mind hell or heaven. But we shall only be cautious about propagating our Sankirtan movement. Neither Prabhupada is writing a letter. You have pleased me very much by book production. Just go on and flood the whole world with these Krishna books, he says. Yeah.
The reader may question the validity of indiscriminately distributing teachings that include Krishna's esoteric philosophy and pastimes. Doesn't this conflict with the Lord's direct instruction to withhold even the Gita's less esoteric teachings from unqualified persons? In Srila Prabhupada's time, some Vaishnavas criticized this philosophy, and even today some of his followers
criticize this policy,
and even today some of his followers voice the same concern.
Yeah. Some people will say, Gita begins with, I am not the body, I am the soul. That is less esoteric teaching. And then you have to tell people about the Punarjanma, transmigration. Then you tell people about the super soul in the heart. Then you tell people about karma, kala, guna. See, these are all so important. Without telling this directly, if you give Krishna book to people, and people start reading about rasa dance and all these things, will they not get confused? That's a good question, genuine question. Many people may ask like that. Even there are Prabhupada's followers even today who say that how can you present these esoteric pastimes to new people? The answer will come now. Yeah.
The answer to this question lies in the unique character of Srila Prabhupada's books. It is true that many Vaishnava books are unsuitable for public consumption. However, Srila
Like for example, Govinda Leelamrit, when Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur wanted to print that book, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, just print 2 copies, one for me, one for you, or something like that, he said. It's not meant for the public consumption, he said. Because the advanced books, what will happen, why the advanced books shouldn't be distributed in the public? You see, the public is neophyte. They tend to be fanatical. That is called as Anudita Viveka. Anudita Viveka means they don't have the ability to discriminate by seeing the spirit of the law. They are stuck in the letter of the law. So the tendency of the neophyte is to take extremes. They cannot actually see that this is this extreme, this is this extreme, and we can reconcile it. They just cannot reconcile. Further, one has to become Madhyamadikari. From Madhyamadikari onwards, beyond that, one will be able to reconcile, see the spirit behind any action. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In the same manner, advanced devotees will not misunderstand the pastimes. Like for example, in the Bhagavatam, there is a chapter where when Krishna met, all the sages and Pandavas, everybody, all the warriors, everybody, they were all talking. At that time, the queens of Dwaraka, they met Draupadi. And they were asking Draupadi, Draupadi was asking them, please tell me, how each of you became wife of Krishna? How did Krishna acquire you? And what is your aspiration? So the whole chapter is about that. Like Rukmini is saying how she came to be a wife of Krishna. Similarly, Satyabhama, Sumitravinda, Bhadra, Satya, all of them are speaking like that. And they all are expressing their aspiration also. That they wish to serve the lotus feet of Krishna. It's a beautiful chapter it is. So what is the spirit behind the chapter? Each queen is telling how I came to Krishna consciousness. And then what is my future aspiration? Actually, any devotee can read the chapter and cherish in one's heart. Oh, how wonderful these queens are, so blessed to serve Krishna personally. When Krishna would return in the evening, they would remove his sandals and wash his feet. They would remove his mukut and then comb his hair, and they would offer him arati. And they would fan him personally, and they would feed him prasad. Although there were thousands of servant maids, these queens will personally serve Krishna. So, when you read that chapter, our own inner Krishna consciousness will be kindled. The spark of Krishna consciousness in our heart will be fanned. Oh, every one of them is saying how they came to Krishna. So I also came to Krishna in this particular way. How kind Krishna is, he sent his devotees to pick me up. I was rotting in this material world. I was chasing after Maya foolishly. Devotees picked me up and they brought me to Krishna consciousness. Like they have their aspiration, I have my aspiration also. When will the time come? It's called as Abhilashi. It's called as Sampratnatmika, Dainavodika, Lalsamay. So you will see that whenever we read anything, we should see from the spirit point of view. For example, when Prabhupada is saying, Krishna is telling the gopis that you all have devoted your lives to me, so I also will reciprocate with your dedication. And that Prabhupada writes, it's not only with gopis, any devotee of Krishna who tries to dedicate his life to Krishna in utilizing every moment in Krishna consciousness, Krishna will reciprocate with that devotee. So Prabhupada is extending it. Because sometimes we think gopis are here, I am here, we think like that. But actually, the same formula applies to every devotee, Prabhupada writes. So therefore, even when we read the esoteric pastimes of Krishna book, Prabhupada actually helps us to understand it with very basic philosophical explanations in Krishna book. You will see that. Like gopis are talking to Krishna. Oh Lord, even in Bhagavad Gita you have spoken like this. Like that they are saying. So somebody may ask, did gopis really say that in Bhagavad Gita you are saying this? This is called a summary study. Prabhupada made a summary study of the pastimes. So he has made sure that newcomers will read this book and they should not misunderstand. So he has given such explanation that there is no possibility of misunderstanding. Will be said. That is the speciality of his purports. Yeah.
However, Srila Prabhupada's translations with their lucid purports are suitable and especially effective because they systematically qualify their readers. How do Srila Prabhupada's books qualify readers to hear confidential knowledge? 3 solid reasons. First and most obviously, Srila Prabhupada's translations are empowered. He often referred to the fact that before the publication of the Bhagavad Gita as it is, hundreds of versions of Gita existed in the West, but none of them created a pure devotee of Krishna. In vivid contrast, his Gita soon created thousands of devotees.
So George Harrison, when he met Prabhupada, he very politely asked Prabhupada that, Swamiji, why did you give the title Bhagavad Gita as it is? There are also other Bhagavad Gitas very eloquently spoken and very written in very good English. Their commentaries are available. Why do you say your Gita is only as it is? Do you mean to say that other Gitas are not as it is? Are they not repeating Krishna's words? So Prabhupada explained to him, you see, what is the goal of Gita? Prabhupada said, the goal of Gita is anyone who reads Bhagavad Gita should become addicted to Krishna. And then Prabhupada said, go in ISKCON movement anywhere in the world and see my followers, see my devotees. From the 4 a.m. they rise in the morning until 10 a.m. they sleep at night. All day they are chanting Krishna's names, doing Krishna's work, distributing Krishna's books, performing Krishna services. They have no life separate from Krishna. Even those are grihasthas also. In ISKCON society, the initiated disciples of Prabhupada as well as his followers, you will find Krishna, it's Krishna Maya. This whole movement is Krishna Maya. Prabhupada said, you can go and see yourself. You can evaluate this movement. On the contrary, Prabhupada said, look at the other Gitas. They keep conveniently Krishna and Arjuna aside. And they talk dry philosophy of Atman, Brahman and all those different things they are speaking. They don't come to the spirit of the Gita at all. And many of them are envious of Krishna also. They actually talk against Krishna's teachings. Like I am speaking in English now, somebody is translating. So I am saying, here the Lord says He is the personality of Godhead and everyone should surrender to Him. And somebody is translating. इधर बोला जा रहा है कि भगवान निर्विकार ब्रह्म है और उसको शरण जाना है. Somebody says. That means this fellow is shutting my mouth and saying what he wants. Correct, na? Where did he say nirvikar? So you will find this is what the Mayavadi commentaries are doing. Therefore, 9.11 Krishna says, Avajananti Mam Mudha, he says. So therefore, you will find, and then when Prabhupada spoke this, George Harrison immediately agreed. He said, what you are saying is true. I am seeing quite a big difference between the people on other movements and here in ISKCON. Because he was deeply inspired by 2 people, Shyam Sundar Prabhu and Yamuna Mataji. These 2 people deeply affected the life of George Harrison because their devotion, their dedication, their simplicity, their serious dedication to Prabhupada, these things very much inspired George Harrison. So therefore he was determined to help Prabhupada and the movement. You will see that. Yeah. Yes. Second?
Second, Srila Prabhupada's method of presentation describes complex philosophy in easy to understand, non technical language and confidential pastimes in an innocent, non suggestive way. Thus, his books are both accessible and safe.
Safe, yeah. Like, even the very complex philosophy, Prabhupada makes it very easy to understand in his simple language. You know. So, you will find when he is describing these pastimes, he has put it in a, like there is a active voice, passive voice, we say, no? He is not writing indirectly, he is writing it as if the person is speaking. So, if you see Prabhupada writing, the sentences are very punching, they are very short, and they are like speaking. Like Prabhupada will say when he's talking about the mind, he will say that, thy mind, where are you going? Huh? So directly in one of the lectures, Prabhupada spoke like that. You will see when you hear his lectures or read his purports, even a LKG child can understand. Huh? He speaks like that. One of the things is he speaks in a very simple language. Second thing is he repeats several times to ensure that even the people who are little dull to understand, when you repeat it 2-3 times, then they also start understanding. Because for some people, if you say once, it is not enough. When you say 2-3 times, then it registers in their mind. In the beginning of one time, one devotee was asking Prabhupada, Prabhupada, in this whole paragraph, you are saying only about soul only. First you are saying that you are not the body, you are the soul. And you are saying the body is dead and the soul is alive. Only by the presence of the soul, the body is functioning. By the absence of the soul, the body cannot function. The same thing you are saying, is it not repetitive? One devotee is asking Prabhupada. Prabhupada said that even after I have said it same time, so many times, still you don't understand. Therefore I have to repeat, he said. Correct, no? So, you will also see, Prabhupada would speak only 15-20 minutes only. After that, what he will do? Questions. Many questions he takes. He would tell the audience, and if the audience is asking a question outside the subject, he will not entertain. He will say that, we have presented a subject to you now. You ask a question based on that. What do you say about this, what I spoke today in the class? He would ask like that. The whole idea is what? He would want the audience to understand that content of what he spoke briefly. He was so intelligent, Prabhupada, because he has been in India, he has seen the people. Generally, people, you have to give them little by little dose of spiritual substance. Many times when we give class, we have already prepared what we want to give, we just deliver it and go back. But Prabhupada actually was very compassionate to the audience. He would give them in small doses and then see whether they are understanding. You would have seen many dialogues of Prabhupada with many people and all. So his presentation is not in a very technical language, easy to understand. And even the conferential pastimes, like Prabhupada is writing, the gopis talking to Krishna and Krishna talking to gopis in such a sweet language. You might have read this chapter, gopis meditating on Krishna's flute when Krishna goes to forest. There is one chapter on that, isn't it? Such a beautiful chapter, you can read it 1,000,000 times, again and again. So, in the same manner in Krishna book, if you go to different chapters, the speeches and dialogues are all in active language directly. Like Vidyadhara is, coming out of the snake's body, that snake which swallowed Nanda Baba. When Krishna put his lotus feet, immediately the snake body disappeared and who came? The Vidyadhara came. And Krishna asked him, who are you? Please tell me. And then Prabhupada writes, it's not that Krishna doesn't know who that fellow is. He knows very well. But he asked for the benefit of all other people. And then Vidyadhara went on to say, I am this, I am. So Prabhupada is writing in a very simple language. Even children can understand Krishna book. That's what he is saying, that although the philosophy of the scriptures is very deep and very profound, those devotees who have studied different acharyas' commentaries like Sri Vishwanath Thakur or Sridhar Swami or Jiva Goswami, our Vishwanath Thakur's commentary, if you read, you will see that you have to repeatedly read certain words, very, very deep sentences he writes. Fortunately, its translations are available in English also now, Sanskrit and English now. So he will not say anything for the second time. Cut, and he develops it. You can ask Kanakrishan and other people, you can ask. It takes time to digest Acharya's commentary, correct, bro? Yeah, you cannot just read only once. Proper purports you can read fast. But Prabhupada taking mercy upon Kali Yuga Jivas like us, he understood that these fellows cannot digest so much. Like, a newborn child, you need to give breast milk. You can't feed a big chapati or a paratha into the mouth of a newborn child. So Prabhupada knows, therefore he is giving in a easy way, in an innocent and non-suggestive way, he's saying, which means the language is so sweet. After reading Krishna book, you will kindle your affection for Krishna by reading that. Yeah. Yes.
Third, Srila Prabhupada's purports provide foundational knowledge for first-time readers while simultaneously presenting deeper understandings for more qualified devotees.
This is amazing, isn't it? In the same page, you will find something for the new people and something for the older devotees. Both will be satisfied. Yeah, yes.
Thus, whether persons begin by reading Narad's teaching to the Prachetas or Sukadev's description of the Ras Leela, they can do so without making offense. Narada's teachings to the Prachetas are found in the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Sukkot.
And sure, just the 10th canto, yeah. So the Narada's teaching to Prachetas is a lot of philosophy is there in that. And Ras Leela is a pastime. So in both places you will find Prabhupada will give enough explanation to help the reader to digest the pastime, yeah. Yes.
Under personal guidance, more benefit. Of course, as wonderful as Srila Prabhupada's books are, they should be understood with the personal guidance of mature devotees. Experience shows that we cannot fully understand scripture without the help of realized Vaishnavas.
There are Vaishnavas across the globe, great Vaishnavas, who don't allow to record the lecture also. One of the reasons they say is, I'm speaking to a certain audience. If somebody hears this lecture in another setting, what I speak may not sometimes suit according to the time, place, circumstance there. So they would like to personally mentor and guide people like that. So therefore, although scriptures are very difficult to understand, and Prabhupada has made them very simple through his books, still everybody requires a living person, a living Vaishnava mentor above oneself to seek personal guidance on certain topics which may not be understandable to us. Like Prabhupada says, book Bhagavat and person Bhagavat. So the person is also required. Prabhupada gives an example for this. He says, even though the medical college books are available in the market, you go to Appapalan Chowk, ABC Chowk in Pune, get all the bulky books, medical college books, go to your home and read. Will they give you MBBS? Sitting at home, you can't get it. Because you have to go to college, you need to have a professor, you have to go to the laboratory, you have to do the experiments, you have to ask questions, then you earn an MBBS degree. Now people may say, Prabhuji, nowadays sitting at home, they have what you call it, distance learning. But even in distance learning also, there is a contact class. You will see that. If only distance learning is not there, there are every quarterly, they have 3 days, 5 days, 1 week, contact classes are there. You go there personally. And then that's why you do practical things. So, the one-on-one guidance is required in every field. You want to learn Bharatanatyam, you need a teacher. You want to learn singing, you need a teacher. Even P.T. Usha for running also, she needs a teacher. When I first heard it, I was surprised. Running, even I can run here from here to there. Why do you need a teacher? But there's a coach, even for the athletes also. Even for athlete, you have a coach. Spiritual subject is far more advanced. It's a transcendental subject. How can you learn without a guru guiding you? And you will find the scriptures are full of question answers, which goes to show that, the earnest disciple has to present questions to the guru. And if somebody says, I don't get any question at all, you have to check whether they're reading properly. Because reading properly will bring questions. My spiritual master once said, if you don't get any questions, at least you should be interested in the questions of others. And then you also should be interested in the answers also, what is being given. So they asked this question, what answer he gave, and further question he asked like this. And after both are over, you said, now I am satisfied now. If that is there, that means you also have jignasa. But if somebody says, I only have jignasa about prasadam, nothing else. That's not a very good thing. So, therefore we need somebody therefore we say, above us, which means sajatiya snigdha svatovara, we say. Somebody who is little more learned than us, who is more realized than us, who can actually guide us. So we should be willing to take that help also, he says. That's reading, yeah.
Srila Prabhupada confirms this truth in his opening purport to the Bhagavad Gita. One should read Bhagavad Gita very scrutinizingly with the help of a person who is a devotee of Sri Krishna. Combined with devotee company, the mass distribution of Srila Prabhupada's books presents Krishna consciousness in both a safe and accessible form.
Yeah, in the top you find your disciple is learning from the Guru. And below you find disciple is distributing books. So both should be done. We should have a combination of both. Yeah.
Uniqueness of Srila Prabhupada's books.
Yeah. Everyone should preach and distribute books if they want to please me in the best way. Like the Prabhupada is writing in a letter to Sri Govinda.
There are other contemporary Vaishnava commentaries on authorized scripture, but none with the kind of genius that Srila Prabhupada's purpose have to spark the spiritual intelligence of deeply conditioned souls. More often than not, these other authors write in a technically oriented and culturally constrained way, a way that generally limits their readership to already faithful and learned Vaishnavas.
Yeah. You will only be able to appreciate this sentence if you have, gone through the commentaries of Chakravarti Thakur, Vishwanath Thakur, or Jiva Goswami, Sanatana Goswami. Like for example, they write certain things like, 3-4 examples I'll give you. They will tell many things related to grammar, Sanskrit grammar, which is not very relevant for us. Many of us have no connection to Sanskrit much. Now, Vishwanath Thakur will say, why this particular word is grammatically put like this, he will say. That is not relevant to our times much. That's one thing. Another thing, you find many times they give examples which may be very relevant in those Vedic times. People can understand because people are living in villages. Many village examples are there. But Prabhupada in his books has made it suitable to modern man. For example, the Kathopanishad gives the example of chariot, bodily chariot, and the 5 horses and everything. So the Atma is like the passenger and the chariot is like the body. But Prabhupada made it car and driver. You may not find car in the scriptures. But chariot is converted into car because nobody goes in chariot to office. You go in the car. Then immediately you understand car and driver. Isn't it? Similarly, the secondary creation is done by Brahma. Brahma is called as Atmabhu. He's the first created living entity, son of the Supreme Lord, born in the lotus, navel of the Supreme Lord. And so then he does the secondary creation. So Prabhupada makes it very easy. Brahma is the engineer of the universe, he says. Immediately understand. Brahma is the engineer of the universe. And he's calling Yamaraj as superintendent of death. And he's calling Yamadutas as constables of Yamaraj. Constables of Yamaraj, correct. And immediately you can catch. Because we know what a constable is. Correct now, when you see, we have seen constable, but we haven't seen Yamadutas. We have seen constables. So therefore you will find Prabhupada is so kind when he's addressing to the audience worldwide. He is making it easy. Like in India, you can write Kirit or Mukut, he can write. But he's writing helmet because Western people will understand helmet means something which you wear in the head. Correct now? So he uses the language which people can. So this is another thing. The using of the wordings and the language that he uses. And also the previous Acharya's commentaries require that the people you are quite learned to be able to appreciate. One example I'll tell you. When 4 Kumaras are coming to the door of Vaikuntha, Jai Vijay. So when Vishwanath Thakur is explaining, he is explaining a very deep purport there in that place. He says that Lord Vishnu praised Kumaras, but that praise was actually not praise. He was actually angry with them, with Kumaras. And he even told them that I am ready to lop off my arms because my servants have committed a mistake. And then he praised Brahmanas in 4-5 verses. They said that, Lord said that, I don't even prefer ghee to be offered in my sacrificial fire. Instead, it should be offered in the mouth of Brahmanas with rice and everything. And that is more pleasing to me. And I am so famous only because I am taking the dust of the Brahmanas on my head. Like that the Lord said. So like that he spoke many things. So hearing that, they felt very shy. Who? 4 Kumaras. They thought Lord is praising us, but he's praising us little more than what we deserve. Maybe we deserve only this much, not this much. They said, my dear Lord, what are you saying? You say that Lakshmi is after you, that is because you have attained fame by taking our dust on your head. Actually, our existence is only because of you. Otherwise, we have no existence separate from you. Why are you praising us so much? We don't understand. We are not sure whether you are happy with us or angry with us. Actually, Lord did this. Why? Because Lord wanted to teach Jaya Vijay that if somebody, you should never enrage the guests. The superiors and guests should never be enraged. So one shloka Lord is saying, if a Brahmana is sharply admonishing you, chastising you, a Vaishnava should, with a smiling face and folded palms with glistening eyes, you should gratefully receive the instruction from that Brahmana, considering Brahmana to be his, like a father or a well-wisher or a teacher, who is concerned about me, therefore he is chastising me. Like that you should take, like that Lord is saying, which means two things Lord is doing. He is teaching Jaya Vijay on one hand, good behavior, and is praising Kumaras and pacifying their anger. And subtly, when Kumaras get awakened to the right knowledge, they understand that Lord is not happy with us, because we have offended his Parshadas. So these kind of things, newcomers, their head will be spinning. You can't understand these things. Unless you have practiced Vaishnava culture for many years, these are very, very fine things. And acharyas like Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is bringing, this is not the only place. There are many, many places in Chakravarti Thakur's commentaries he will bring, therefore he is very special. Now, in Prabhupada's purports, what Prabhupada has done very nicely, this section, when Lord, there's one verse, Krishna prasada sumukam spragani yadhama prema avaloka kalaya hridi samsprishantam. There's a verse. In the purport, if you read, it says that when Vishnu came to the door of Vaikuntha, he smiled at the four Kumaras and he turned and smiled at Jaya Vijay. In this way, Prabhupada writes only one sentence there. Lord smiled at the offenders and the offended. He writes, because of his oceanic Kalyana Gunams, divine qualities that Lord possesses. And Prabhupada did not get into the detail of what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is writing elaborately in his purports, because newcomers will find it difficult. So this much is good enough for our churning in our heart. Lord has an ocean of good qualities and he never feels offended by anybody. That much is that one purport you can take and meditate. So that's what he's saying here. The Acharya's commentaries are technically oriented and culturally constrained. It is very relevant for that culture and also very technical. And those people, Prabhupada knows how much of it people can understand. If you see Prabhupada, how he gives commentary of Bhagavatam, he would keep all the Acharya's purports in front of him. He will pick something from here, something from here. Because he knows we are like Cerelac babies. Whatever we can take, only he will give. And he puts it together and then he puts it all together in such a way that he gives in his own, who are angry. And these are the three big anarthas, lust, anger and greed. And drowned in tamoguna and rajoguna. In Kali Yuga, dull-headed. If you want to know the Sanskrit word for this, two words are used in 11th canto. Akratatmanam and Stula Dhiyo. See, Sukshma and Navagendra spoke. So Prabhupada has made the commentary so simple. But Prabhupada's books are also very popular. But Acharya's books may be popular amongst the educated, very learned circles. But for common people, they can face challenge. Now, His Holiness Bhanu Maharaj just translated many of the Acharya's work is available. And who relishes them the most, if you see, it's ISKCON devotees are practicing for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. They can relish the most, yeah. Yes.
Advantage of reading over hearing. When it comes to introducing non-devotees to Krishna consciousness, although both hearing and reading are fully potent, reading has certain advantages. For this reason, Srila Prabhupada stressed the distribution of transcendental literature. It is useful to consider some of these advantages as well as to mention some advantages of the hearing process. No more, no less. One obvious benefit of reading is that books say exactly what the author intends to say and no more.
Correct, no? Many of us in the Bhagavatam classes, our subjective things come into the class. Because we have certain prejudices which come by our upbringing, by our parents, teachers, grandparents, and our friend circle, and our previous philosophies, philosophies or philosophies, which we are carrying with us. So all that gets mixed up and subjective things. Actually, sitting in the Vyasana, we should not speak like that, ideally speaking. But still we know that when we are in a growing stage, we tend to mix those things. Therefore, you will see when you give Prabhupada book to somebody, you let Prabhupada preach to them, rather than we bringing our subjective things and all. Yeah. Yes?
This is an advantage in a preaching organization in which indiscriminate, immature speakers often fail to give appropriate foundational knowledge or lucid explanations when commenting on the teachings of Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, there are many preachers, when they meet new people, they say so many things which have no connection to Krishna consciousness. They may say that it's a bridge topic or something, I'm trying to bring them, but then whether that fellow will come or not, God knows. Many times. So therefore, at least if somebody has no confidence to present Krishna consciousness directly, better you give them a book, let the book present it directly. I can't present it directly, I am too wishy-washy. I can't present the truth directly. Better you give Prabhupada book, let Prabhupada preach to them strongly. Yeah.
The result is that neophyte or even intermediate devotees sometimes confuse their listeners. Faithless people easily misunderstand the teachings when they are not properly presented, or worse, become critical of the Lord and inimical to Krishna consciousness.
For example, one fellow in one place was giving a 10-day course. So, 5th day, he had a presentation on 28 types of hells, mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam 5th canto. Is it a very important subject? Imagine. And when he is telling all the people in that village, तंबाकू खाओगे ये नरक में जाना पड़ेगा, शराब पियोगे ये दंड मिलेगा. So all the old men are trembling. They are looking at each other. Hey, मैं तंबाकू खाता हूँ, मैं शराब पीता हूँ. They are looking at the family. So actually, this is not the way you present the philosophy. You frighten the people. Actually, how Krishna is such a sweet Lord, and you are presenting about hell. What a misrepresentation of our moment. You understand, no? Yeah. Go ahead.
The effects of this kind of preaching are hard to correct. Therefore, Krishna warns that his confidential teachings are never to be spoken, vachyam na, to the faithless.
Yeah. Like also there are demigod worshippers, like somebody wrote to me, can I worship Saraswati Mata for my enhancement of knowledge? I say, okay, you pray to Saraswati that she gives you the intelligence to understand Bhagavad Gita and also understand your subjects. You leave it at that, rather than if you are going to very strongly condemn demigods. Madhvacharya says that those who are condemning demigods, they don't understand the connection of demigods to the Supreme Lord. Demigods are all Deva, Narayana, Angaja. So one should know that demigods, why demigod worship is condemned in Prabhupada's books. Prabhupada says that they should not be worshipped as Supreme Lord, or they should not be worshipped separate from the Supreme Lord. They cannot be worshipped with Ananya Bhakti. Nobody can do Ananya Bhakti to demigods. You will see all demigod worshippers are demons, you will find many times. But at the same time, if you tell a newcomer that all demigod worshippers are demons, they will run away. So it has to be very maturely presented. So Prabhupada's purports, if you see on demigod worship, 7th chapter and 9th chapter, if you read the entire purport, you get a very wholesome understanding of demigod worship topic. Therefore, he's saying it's better to give them a book rather than we talk about such topics. Yeah.
Systematic presentation. Moreover, although all devotees in ISKCON are encouraged to preach, no devotee's preaching style or words can match that of Srila Vyasadeva or Srila Prabhupada. Thus, by giving the public the opportunity to read the words that have flowed from the pens of the most elevated transcendentalists, book distribution gives the general public the best opportunity for advancement.
Okay.
The words of Srila Prabhupada and his predecessors are systematic and designed to progressively elevate readers from a broad spectrum of spiritual accomplishment, neophytes to premi bhaktas. The spoken words of a Vaishnava, however, in a Srimad Bhagavatam class, for example, generally lack the same systematic methodology.
Yeah. So, many times in our Bhagavatam classes, we speak for a certain audience. For advanced devotees, we speak advanced class. For new boys who are coming, we speak very basic. Whereas in Prabhupada's book, he has made a blend of both, as was said earlier. Yeah.
Quality of faith tested. Furthermore, systematic reading generally requires greater effort than listening. Such effort, along with the interest that fueled it, is indicative of the quality of the reader's faith, their initial qualification. Each word of the Bhagavatam purifies readers endowed with this faith, and consequently, they wish to read more and more. In this regard, Sutta Goswami says,
Yeah. Etat Shravaye Nityam Yamakshanam Ananyadihi Shlokam Ekam Tadar Ardham Va Padam Padardhameva Va Shraddhavan Yo Nushruniyat Punatyatmanameva Saha.
one who, with undeviating attention, constantly recites this literature at every moment of every hour, as well as one who faithfully hears even one verse or half a verse, or a single line, or even half a line, certainly purifies his very
The
self.
glorification of Bhagavatam, yeah.
Srila Prabhupada on importance of book distribution. Srila
Okay,
Prabhupada,
so here in this slide mainly he says, yes, if they read, even if they touch, even if they read one line or one word, Prabhupada said. So he's saying, they paid some money, they will then say, what this nonsense I have written, let me see. Because they paid money and taken the book. So then they, after reading it, they will say, oh, it's very nice. Then immediately they begin spiritual life, like it he says.
readily available all time. And of course, books, unlike persons,
Yeah, like, devotees are not all the time available, but books are available. If you make a library and keep it, books will be available, even though the devotee is not there to clarify. So I can read the book, write down my questions. When the devotee comes, then I can ask questions. But books are available. How much time is available? All day, 24 hours. That's the specialty of the books, he says. Day or night. If somebody is inspired, whole night after they read sometimes. Yeah. So a person may easily reread all or any part of a book to either clarify or simply relish a topic. Yeah. Expert preachers can pinpoint the topic most suited to their audience. Like for example, if some boy is saying that I am feeling lust problem, I give him section of Ajamil to read. You read this section, it will be nice. Somebody is feeling too much anger, tell them go to Ambarish Maharaj and Durvasa Muni. Read that section. Then after reading section, they come back and say, Prabhu, now I understood the danger of anger. Like that. So we can give them sections of Prabhupada books to read also. Yeah. Yeah, hearing versus reading. Srila Prabhupada chose to emphasize book distribution over public speaking. He considered that the uneducated people would be most inclined to receive Krishna's message by reading at leisure in the comfort of their own homes. Many people actually like to read on their own, but if you call them for a regular weekly program, they don't come. So therefore, we can give them a Prabhupada's book. Therefore, he wrote, the question you have raised about traveling Sangeet and parties and selling of books. Yes, we want money. So that's real preaching, selling books. Who can speak better than the books? At least whoever buys, he will look over. If you have to sell books, do it by hook or crook. The real preaching is selling books. You should know the tactic, how to sell without irritating. What your lecturer will do for 3 minutes. That selling by, distributing books by hook or crook means sell the book without irritating the people. Like that's what he's saying. The art is to sell many books and not to irritate the public. Actually, sometimes we sell 1 or 2 books and irritate the public too much. Instead of that, without irritating, reach a lot of books. That's what he is saying. Some Vaishnavas argue that it is impossible to understand transcendental knowledge from books and that one must hear directly from a devotee. Others take this argument further, insisting that the speaker devotee must be a Mahabhagavata. If he or she is not, they say spiritual aspirants can make no advancement whatsoever. So there is no doubt that reading books should be complemented with hearing from pure devotees. The above argument, however, distorts this truth and finds no support from either scripture or Srila Prabhupada's teachings. Here it says, a Brahmana who diligently reads this essential compilation of all the Puranas will go to the supreme destination, which the Supreme Lord himself has herein described. That means if you simply read the Bhagavatam, you go back to Godhead, he says. Still, the scripture emphasizes the importance of hearing from devotees as a means for better understanding and putting into practice the written word. That's the book Bhagavat, person Bhagavat, same point. If for some valid reason one has no access to pure devotees, purification and perfection can be achieved solely by reading, provided one has Krishna's special grace. Or if no books are available, as in past ages or under extraordinary circumstances today, hearing from pure Vaishnavas can bestow all spiritual success. That means both methods are perfect. Hear from pure devotees or read the books. Combination of the two is best. That's the conclusion. So daily read our books, Prabhupada says. Discuss frequently with devotees. Both Prabhupada says, daily read our books and discuss frequently. See, everything is there in Prabhupada's letters. Please repeat this. Daily read our books. Discuss frequently with devotees. Both he has included. Actually, I want to put picture, there was no time. Okay. Yeah, a few pages can hardly do justice to the importance of the books. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki, Srimad Bhagavatam ki, और भक्तवृंद की जय।